everybody. I'm Bianca Lager, former president and CEO of Social Intelligence, a company where I lovingly led a highly productive team as a C-suite of one for over 7 years. Now, I successfully sold that company in 2023, and now I get to focus on my work as a keynote speaker and an online course creator where I've taught over 130,000 learners executive business skills. Now, my new program, Executive Automations, I teach you a step-by-step process to automate your executive leadership and translate that into sales growth and executing efficient operations. So joining me today is Carina Harlow. She is my sister. She is so many things. She's a wife. She's a mother. She does communications, internal comms. Carina, you need no intro to me.
Yeah.
Tell the folks who you are.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, sis. I, like you said, do corporate communications and public relations, and just proud to be here.
So you're kind of an expert in communications and in internal communications and sort of team comms. Like, how would you describe it? Like, what's the impact of a role like yours?
Of a role like mine? Yeah. So, I mean, it's twofold. So internal and external, right? So on the internal side, it's like employee engagement, keeping morale up, keeping folks informed of key business impact decisions, changes, working really closely with our counterparts, the C-suite, and just, making sure that communication is really clear, concise, and, keeping that employee engagement really high. I'd say on the PR side, classic PR is just, keeping those brands relevant, being, in earned media and kind of pushing some key company-wide campaigns forward throughout the year.
Well, we are going to get into the question of the week, and it's a really good one for you. It's a really good one for you. And pardon me, I'm just going to be tossing around my cough drop over here. As Carina knows very well, my two germy children, my two petri dishes, have yet again brought an illness into my realm. And so I'm suffering, but here I am. I shall overcome.
I understand that all too well.
Yeah, you're basically just waiting for a call to pick up your son any moment, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we're going to get into the question of the week. This is your inbox zero questions to help you unclog the business decisions that are clogging up your mental inbox. So, Carina, we are going to dissect and get into this question of the week. I'm so excited to have you as a guest because I've done this like once or twice, but like really loosely. So in this new format, I'm really excited just to get somebody else instead of me just pontificating and talking into the world to get another take, get a hot take.
Oh, you love that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Get a corporate take. You are my corporate sister. I'm sort of the small business person in the fam, I suppose. So looking forward to kind of getting a little more of a bigger picture mentality and just understanding and then just balance that with my own hot takes over here. Okay, so here we go. I am CEO of a 7-year-old startup. Is that, in parentheses, is that still a startup? LOL.
LOL.
Good question. It's a very important question. We'll get to that. And a quarter ago, we found out some tough news about one of our largest clients. Basically, we're losing revenue, so we have to get cash scrappy. I'm really good at this kind of thing since I have a history with shoestring budgets and small businesses, and I get along well with the CFO. So we recommended some ideas together. Our problem is how the CEO has decided to communicate these changes to the team, parentheses, or lack thereof. We're on a need-to-know basis, so sometimes he cuts things out without me knowing that even affect my own team, and I'm stuck scrambling with an explanation I don't have. I know this has also affected our client-facing teams too, and sometimes I find stuff out last minute that I know will be a huge deal to certain reps. Our CEO's philosophy is to wait and see what people complain about before we react. That seems crazy! Extra exclamation points there. He doesn't want to freak out the staff by announcing these budget cuts, or at least not more than we have to. but my team trusts me and they tell me that everyone whispers, and now everyone's worried about job security and morale is low. I've noticed a dip in productivity, and a few of my employees are openly job hunting. The truth is they should be job hunting. The truth is they should be job hunting, but I want to keep everyone motivated. And I'm not sure how to be honest about the financial situation without making them panic and annoying the CEO, since I could also be on the chopping block and this job economy does not look fun.
Mm-mm.
I'd appreciate any advice on how to handle this, as it feels like an ethical and a business decision. Is there any hope for us? I'm going to cough to death now. Pardon me.
Yeah, go for it. A lot of layers there.
A lot of layers there. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a real dilemma for a lot of companies are facing, especially, in today's climate. So what I'll say first is, things like this are never an easy situation for any leadership team. You know this. And, a lot of folks that have been on leadership teams, that are in leadership teams, know this. And there are so many factors that are involved in these decisions being made. And, some of those factors, can't always be freely shared with every single employee of an organization. And that's just the fact of it. I think that said, there is a level of transparency that I think anyone in a role like mine, or, if you have an internal comms team, is kind of advising on, that should always be considered, so that you can build that trust and that reassurance. And, you don't end up with things like this person saying with, low morale, low productivity, that's just not a fun place to be. So I'll say, in this person's particular role being COO, in what it sounds like, a small startup, and I'm going to say it's safe to assume, again, no internal communications team. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this situation, right? So just to say that I think it's particular challenging for companies without formal departments or individuals to navigate these things that are, super critical to the ultimate health of the business. So, everyone, like I stated, employee communication is employee engagement, which leads to productivity and morale. Sure. So there's, all this data to support that. And so, like, if we're going the advice route, what I think is important is, to start a healthy dialogue with your C-suite team, including your, it sounds like you have a good relationship with your CFO, and your CEO and whoever else is included on that leadership team, and maybe base it around how these changes are affecting productivity. And maybe you have data or key examples or turnover numbers, which in turn, cost the company money. Anything that relates it back to the lack of communication, potentially or directly or indirectly affecting the business. And, you can, offer a communications plan. Now, I have some ideas of what that communications plan is, but Bianca, do you have any thoughts where you want to go into that?
But yeah, I mean, obviously this is a C-suite that's not on the same page. Like, it's just not, in terms of like how they're wanting to go about this. Sounds like the COO and the CFO are, wanted to like take a little more strategic approach, and here's our recommendations, and, kind of had a plan that was also probably, something that they thought was good. And the CEO is like, okay, thanks. Like, appreciate your notes. Now I'm just going to kind of do what I want to do whenever I want to do it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's tough. That's a tough situation. And, and we don't really know if there's anyone else in the C-suite or like who else is on the executive team. So we don't know if there's other people that are, kind of like with the CEO on that, just kind of like, oh, okay, like, we'll just like, some of these startups especially are like, got to be agile, we have to be flexible, and they really pride themselves on like that, like agility, and like, hey, like it's a fast-paced environment where things change a lot.
Yeah.
And you could really kind of lean on that, I think, as a crutch to kind of be like, explain your chaos away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, that being said, like, you're the COO, you see all this happening, like, what do you do tomorrow when you go to work? Like, what is the first thing that this woman should do? What when she's going into work tomorrow?
I think what struck me about this is the line about, people are looking for other jobs, which they should be. And I think what makes this person a particularly, from what I can tell just from the submission, perhaps a particularly good leader is understanding the very, real human reaction to kind of defend and protect during times of uncertainty, right? And, quite frankly, the only tool this person could have right now, if the CEO, CFO, whatever, aren't willing to communicate, is to continue being encouraging and empathetic leader to keep people motivated in whichever direction that is. So whether it's staying with the company and like keeping them on course, or they're being transparent about adding, or finding a better opportunity for themselves. That is completely a very real human reaction. And as a leader, you should be encouraging your employees to find the path that's best for them as a human being.
Yeah, I completely agree. So I mean, it's like, obviously, like in a perfect world, she'd be able to facilitate, I don't know why I think it's a she. I just feel like it's a she. I just think she should facilitate. I'm just gonna call it a she.
Yeah.
She facilitates a conversation in the C-suite that's like, hey, we need to get on the same page, and like, let's do that, and they have a better plan, and blah blah. But like, it just does not feel like that's happening, And I just think she's gonna drive herself nuts if she's trying to put herself in that position,
right?
To do that. So yeah, like, my sense is that like she needs to sort of pick a priority here, right? And the priority can very much be, I'm going to protect my people, whatever that means, and however that means. If I can save jobs, I'm going to try to save jobs. But if like, so I know, and like this is kind of an open secret, and like it just is what it is. I think, discreetly, but maybe even openly, depending on if she can talk to the CEO about it, be like, hey, listen, guys, like these people are looking for jobs. Like, this is what we got to do. And like, this is how we're going to do it. This is how I'm going to approach it with my team. And I hope you guys do the same, because frankly, like, I'm trying to keep them motivated, but I really do think, and I know this from personal experience, and she's right, the job economy is not fun out there. So first of all, these people are going to have a hard time. Okay. When you are supporting them in that uncertain time and saying, hey, you need a reference, I'm there for you. There's a couple things that kind of naturally happen. Yeah. Are you risking them like going to find another job and, whatever else, even though there are those people that need to stay and like need to do the task at hand, but there's a really high likelihood that they emotionally feel supported enough where they're not really urgently out there doing that, right? So what does that mean? It means they actually will stay, and it'll buy you some loyalty, essentially, is the point I'm making, in the short term.
Yeah. I mean, I think often you'll find in those situations, like even if there is negative sentiment around a company-wide decision, or a department reorg, whatever the situation may be. In this case, it's budget cuts, right? So that's obviously affected, and that can look like many things, like layoffs or just different scenarios. But managers and leaders' roles are super critical to keeping their teams on track. And so if there isn't a collective effort to communicate, and that's just not part of your toolbox, then as a manager or leader, your communication style as an individual can still be reflected and will trickle down to your teams and kind of breed that trust. And yeah, to your point, I mean, they will stay for that. They might stay for that, or the uncertainty is just potentially too harmful for them, whether their financial situation, their health, whatever it may be, which is again very human decision that needs to be made, and just supporting them through that, whatever that may be.
Yeah, there's so many good outcomes to support them through, and talking about it as openly as you can to say, I want you to stay, but if you need to leave and you feel like that's the right thing for you, I want you to feel comfortable in talking to me about that, let's, I need to plan on my end. So I appreciate the heads up, but also I want you to feel like you have some control of the situation because this might feel scary.
Right.
So I'm here to kind of help you, guide you through that. And I think it's definitely fine. I think it's fine. I don't know if her CEO will think it's fine, but I think it's fine for her to kind of have that conversation with her team. And maybe even demonstrate and show to the rest of the company that, like, this is fine. We can have this conversation and understand that, like, hey, we're in a position just as humans here to be like, this is your job. You're not an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you see like budget cuts and whatever else. So it's like, of course, you're going to feel a little freaked out. And yeah, aren't we all? That's the risk that you take in this situation anyway. I mean, I appreciate the CEOs. And like you said, like, not everybody needs to know everything,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there's a little bit of overly holding back and not being strategic about what those budget cuts are that makes everybody scared. It provides instability, and it's giving, I don't trust this, and so like
Yeah.
the only trust that you can recoup right now is to say, yeah, we don't, we might not exactly know either what next 2 weeks are going to look like, but I do know this. I'm down for you. And whatever that looks like, we're going to try to do our best now. And I think that, like, on the other side of that, that's what I mean by, like, the CEO needs to kind of pick her priority. Like, I think she's like, is there any hope for us? Like, I kind of feel like her question is like, how can I save this company? And like, girlfriend, you cannot. You know what I mean? Like, know that, like, you can do your job right now is to help people navigate through this, because there will be some of you on the other side of it. And I hope it's you. You probably will be you by demonstrating this leadership. It probably will be you. But you will be on the other side of it, and there will be some of you together. And who are you? What kind of leader are you going to be on the other side of that? You know what I mean? What's your team going to look like? And you have to kind of keep your eye on the ball there, and just kind of have some like microeconomics to like how you are going to support your leaders. Maybe directors report to you, maybe managers, who knows, but like, that you need to empower them to also manage their teams as well. And advocate when you're in that C-suite room for decent severance packages, good heads up, good communications to the people who are going to be affected. Like, that's the best you can probably do. I mean, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say address the elephant in the room. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of part of any, corporate communications role is to, collectively have discussions around like do we talk about this? Do we not, decisions that are made behind the door, and then, you know, it's always good to just address it head on. And sometimes, like you said, you don't know all the answers. You don't know what outcomes will look like, especially if you're not involved in those decisions, it sounds like, for this individual. And so, yeah, I mean, address it as it is and what your truth is. And, people can sniff that out when they think you're being real, or they think you're uncertain, makes them feel uncertain. So just kind of, bringing that energy and that openness can really provide that safe space that all employees just want. They just want to be
Yeah.
have the decency and to feel like they're human. That matters.
Yeah. They're not fools. And
Mhm.
it's funny, I've known CEOs that kind of have this approach, and they kind of feel like they have to be like the super together one, and like, whatever.
Mhm.
And it's true, right? Like, you have to have an exude, good presence and
Sure.
strength and whatever else. But like, you cannot do that to a fault, to where you're pretending something is fine when it's not fine. And obviously, like, there are sometimes, I think, and so, like, note to the CEO, like, you need to know, like, everybody knows, like, it's like,
Yeah.
this, you're not saving anyone from anything. And all it's creating is a little bit of like, okay, they now know to expect, like, anything can happen. Essentially, they know to expect that unpredictability, and that's like really the only thing that you're teaching them,
Mhm.
and showing them. And so it's like, you know I think some people have such a hard time, like, getting over communicating that it's like, I don't know, guys. Like, we're doing the best that we can here, and I think some people even think they're doing a good job at communicating that.
Sure. Yeah.
And they're not, because they're like, yo, I address my limitations. I'm a transparent leader.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, don't talk to people like they're like, with you have the air of, I know more than you. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, is there a better way to explain that it's like I don't know if it's arrogance. Like, what is it sometimes about some of these leaders that they just like can't just get a little bit real? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough. I think a lot of them are whether it's ego, protecting their own career trajectory,
Yeah.
politics. There's a lot that goes into your persona as a leader,
Yeah,
um,
fair.
and so you know, lots of reasons. So I mean, I think when you're a good leader, like I said, which I think the COO sounds like, that submitted this question, she just wants, I'll call her she now too. I'm on the train. She just wants to keep it real. And yeah, I mean, I don't think she, to your point, like she's trying to kind of like save the company, save everyone. And, I think it's fruitful to try to acknowledge it. I mean, and maybe she's a leader that hasn't even brought it up yet to her counterparts or her C-suite, and hasn't had the opportunity
Maybe she'll be surprised.
to voice these concerns. Yeah, you might be pleasantly surprised if but I think if there's still or there's pushback on no communication, then yeah, just doing the best that you can do in your role, and that's all you can do.
Okay, so last question for you, like, given like you work with the executives at your team and you've seen a lot, and just in anybody, we have jobs, like we're people, we're managers ourselves. We, you are, you have managers over you, supervisors, directors, VPs, C-suites, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
So like, why is she a good leader? Like, you're like, oh, she's a good leader. Like, what are you taking from her question that makes you think that about her?
I think it's what I said. I mean, I think the empathy of understanding that when she says, and they should be looking for
Yeah.
new jobs,
Key point.
like understanding that there is a human behind this role, this number on your team, and making sure she understands the very human reaction of reacting to the uncertainty is just, I think, yeah, just really stood out to me as someone that understands that the human level of it. That's all I can deduce from this submission. I think just also reflecting her in general, just wanting to know how to navigate communication, because just knowingly, having the distinct understanding that communication is critical.
She's like picking up on this.
Yeah, like
It's like an EQ thing happening.
Yeah, that sense of that is everything.
Yeah.
And like we said, like we don't know if she's brought it yet to the team to be like, hey, I'm concerned about this, and using her, the voice to try to push change. I would highly encourage that as the first route, and then if that's not working, then you can only control your lane.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I mean, some people are just protective, and so yeah, it's like maybe she'll want to bring up the elephant in the room, and it'll be a huge relief to everybody. Let's wish that for her.
Yeah,
we're wishing you our best. Now, okay, 7 years in, is it still a startup?
I don't know. You're better suited to answer that. That's funny though. I don't know. I mean, I'd say no, but you're much better suited.
It's probably a philosophical question, and I'm sure like people pontificate, and it depends on more like their financial fundraising rounds and where they are in revenue growth and whatever else. But yeah, I mean, some companies should have more of a revenue maturity at 7 years, depending on your industry, depending on your honestly like your investment profile and what the goals are of the company. But there's always like, I think people always use startups as like just like early stage, or like, we're still sort of, maybe we've hit product fit, but like we're still moving into a more secure revenue profile or whatever else. And some companies are just like, this is the vibe,
Yeah. Like a cultural thing.
Yeah, I remember watching an interview with Sheryl Sandberg, and I don't know, the interviewer was like, you're like corporate woman now, and she's like, corporate, and it's like, you work for.
She's like, I don't identify.
Yeah, and so it's like there's this, whatever. If your boss is wearing a hoodie, or he used to wear hoodies, I don't know what he's wearing now, but anyway, like he's like, you feel like, oh yeah, like we're a chill vibe, so who knows? But I mean, sound off in the comments.
Sound off in the comments. It can be like a culture thing too, for sure.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it's a fair question, COO, and I think that like she's got those little. It's funny, like I don't know, like there's this like such self-awareness here. I think in her, like she's like very aware that it's like, we're shaky over here. And so
she knows her job's on the line too. So that can make me also think that that's maybe why she maybe hasn't brought it up to the C-suite.
Yeah, well, she says that basically. She's like, I don't want to piss him off, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, so go with your gut, girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like if there is a conversation that feels too delicate, try to have it, but don't push it. Yeah. And, brush up on your own resume, because you gotta be prepared. You gotta be prepared.
You never know when you need to go into the wild.
Well, Carina Harlow, thank you so much for joining our Inbox Zero, our new segments here on, bringing a guest in. And it was so much fun. It definitely gave me a new perspective, and just gave me a little appreciation for like, hey, like I'm always so quick to judge like people. I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. But like, it's fair. There's so much politics that while like it's been so long since I've been in an environment like that. It's a very real thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, thank you for having me. This is lovely.
What a pleasure.
So proud of you and everything you're doing. But I mean, it's wild out there, and I'm loving seeing these questions come through, and seeing what people's problems are, and everyone has a challenge. And so I think, just tapping into resources like you to help navigate these things is critical.
Yeah, for sure. And no, I mean, shout out to the people who do like go the extra step and like, try to look for some advice or try to help not just themselves, but this question in particular seemed very team oriented. Like, what do I do with these people? You know what I mean?
Other people. Yeah. I mean, it is very team oriented, and it's human oriented, and that's love to see it. Love
to see it. What a queen.
We
Good
love
for
a
you.
Self-aware queen, corporate queen.
Exactly. Startup queen, whatever you are. COO queen. Good for you. No, we love to see it. Thank you so much. And should you want to submit your own question, go to biancalager.com, where you can find submissions forms, as well as some quizzes on business leadership decisions and business leadership skills that you can develop. Reach out to me anytime. Follow me on the gram. Follow me on LinkedIn, where most other people do. Carina Harlow, it's been a pleasure.
It's been real.
Talk to you later. Bye.